This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Well, the leaves are turning in some areas. They are burning. There's a chill in the air, and it just feels like Thanksgiving. Hi, everybody. So thankful that you decided to tune into the Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. Yes, Thanksgiving is upon us, but on this show, we're not talking turkey, but we are talking beef. Coming up, the Monitor spends the day with the Georgia Cattlemen's Association President Kristy Arnold. Her journey to the top and the significance of being only the second woman ever to hold that position.
Also on the program, in 2016, we were there as Farm View Market opened its doors to the public. Well, since then, a lot has changed, including a farm-to-table menu that's attracting customers from around the state. And then later.
Well, hey, everybody, Ranger Nick. No, I am not playing King of the Mountain this month, but I am standing on top of a pile of compost, and I'm going to introduce you to a group right here in Georgia that's using all this compost and turning that stuff back into the ground to benefit lots and lots of plants. That and so much more starts right now on the Farm Monitor.
The Georgia Cattlemen's Association elects a president to serve as their leader and to represent them in both Atlanta and Washington. For the second time in the association's history, they elected a female to the role, Kristy Arnold. Recently, the Monitor spent the day with Kristi to learn about her story and to hear how she got to where she is now and what it means to her.
We're here on our farm, Boggy Creek Farms in Scriven, Georgia. We're predominantly a cow-calf operation. And when this farm was first instated in 1941, my grandfather, Julian Griffiths, bought the first piece of property that belongs to this farm. It started out as a hog farm and row crops. We grew cotton, corn, tobacco, soybeans, wheat, and hogs. And we had 200 sows fair to finish all my growing up years. And we started really incorporating the cattle part of it into our operation in the late 1980s. My dad really had a passion for livestock more than row cropping. So as time went on, we planted more and more of our cultivated ground into grass and just kept adding cows. So today, everything we own is in grass. We roll about 6,000 rolls of hay a summer. Not only on our farm, but for other folks. We do some custom bale work too. And we've got about 350 mama cows that we run here on our farm. My journey to where I am now with Georgia Cattlemen's started 7 years ago. David Gosda, who was the current president of Georgia Cattlemen's at that time, he called me and asked me would I be willing to serve on the executive committee. The year prior to that, I had gone to what they call the Emerging Leaders Conference that Georgia Cattlemen puts on in January of every year, and you stay there in Macon at the office and up at the Capitol for 3 days, and you really learn what Georgia Cattlemen's and the Georgia Beef Board are and what they do, how they serve the producers of Georgia, as well as National Beef Cattle Association, NCBA, and what it does nationwide. So I had done that, and I had expressed to Josh White that if there was ever a place that I would be excited to do more to serve the industry here in Georgia. So David Gosda called and asked would I be willing to serve on the executive committee, and of course I said yes. And that was 7 years ago, and I served, and then they asked me to move up to vice president 3 years ago, and then I was president-elect last year, and now I am the current Georgia Cattlemen's president. Well, you know, I'm the second female president of Georgia Cattlemen's Association. Miss Betts Berry was president in 1998, so it had been exactly 20 years when I took office in April since a female had been at the helm, if you will, of the Georgia Cattlemen's. You know, to me, it just means that more doors are being opened. I know that all across ag, not just meat production, but all across ag, you're seeing more and more and more females operating farms. So it just opens those doors, and I want to say that it shows my 13-year-old daughter that anything's possible if you work hard. I've had people ask me on multiple occasions, you know, how did you get where you are? Why are you doing a man's job? And I simply tell them, my dad never told me I was a girl, that I wasn't supposed to do it. He never said, that's too heavy, don't pick it up. He never said, you know, that calf's too fast, don't run him down. So I just did. I always did what everybody else did, whether they were a man or a woman. So, you know, to me, I just feel like it's another step on the ladder I've been trying to climb and being a successful beef producer. And if it encourages some females to pursue things that they think they might not can do, then that's fantastic. I'm really excited about it.
Meantime, while Farmview Market in Madison might be known as the place to go for the freshest local produce and meats, it's also home to a thriving farm-to-table restaurant. Damon Jones takes a look at what diners can expect and all the hard work that goes into running such an operation.
With some of the freshest fruits, vegetables, and meats surrounding it in the market, it's no wonder that Farmview Cafe in Madison provides customers with one of the best farm-to-table dining experiences in the area. In fact, the ingredients are so fresh, there are a number of appliances that aren't even necessary in their kitchen.
Oh, it's been a huge hit. You know, we try and do things the right way. We don't use any frozen products. We don't have a can opener in our kitchen. We don't use microwaves. We just do it. We just prepare things fresh using fresh local ingredients, and people seem to really appreciate that.
It's also appreciated by the chef and his kitchen staff, as they are able to turn out tastier food with ingredients that have come straight from the farm.
It's a huge advantage. It's a game changer. It gives us a little step above everybody else. Fresh to can, like night and day difference. You don't have it processed with a bunch of chemicals, stabilizers, things that aren't good for you. So if you're dealing with fresh product, you know that's what you're getting. You're getting just the vegetable. You're not getting the chemicals and all the other things that go with that.
And with different seasons come different menu items, as the staff works constantly with farmers to keep up to date with what's growing well throughout the year.
We have a really talented kitchen team back there. Our executive chef, Jeff Daniels, very creative and constantly putting new things out there.
It's challenging to really be in the season. That's really hard to do that, but it's just part of the game. That's part of what we have to do. That's our responsibility. It's a challenge, but we work with a bunch of farmers, really good people. They keep us posted on what they're doing and forecasting, and it just takes a lot of communication to keep that going and doing it well, but it's important that we do that.
So while there is a preset menu throughout the year, diners will also be treated to an ever-changing weekly special, as well as a cafeteria-style service with made-from-scratch meats, sides, and desserts.
We have a chef's farm table that we put out daily where we have fresh vegetables and fresh proteins, but we also have farmer's plate specials where it's something that's completely different than our regular menu every day of the week, and we change that up every month. So there's really no limit to some of the stuff they put out of this kitchen.
And that creativity is important to Chef Daniels, as he knows the importance of highlighting the fresh produce farmers provide him with.
A lot of those farmers work really, really hard behind the scenes to do that stuff, so anytime I can showcase a farm or a farmer or anything like that, I love to do that, just because I know what goes into the backside of them bringing me these products every day.
Well, it's different. It's hard because there's challenges that come along with doing local and seasonal that you don't have to deal with if you're not doing that. But it's fresh, and it's what people appreciate, and it's what people are more and more so looking for is, where's it coming from, what am I eating, and what's in it? And I think we're being pretty transparent with that, and people embrace it.
Reporting from Madison, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, hey everybody, Ranger Nick. Coming up, I'll introduce you to an organization that's turning food waste into compost and using huge machines like that to turn all that stuff together. I'll explain when the Monitor continues.
My name is Tim Hamrich. I'm an agribusiness recruiter. I'm the founder of AgGrad and the host of the Future of Agriculture podcast. When I graduated from college way back in 2007, I felt like I had done a lot of things right. I was really active in FFA and 4-H. I was in the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity. I was in the National Agro-Marketing Association. I was in livestock judging. I tried to do as much as I can to position myself for a successful career, but still found it difficult and awkward upon graduation to really get plugged into careers. Number one, I didn't know really all the careers that were available to me in the industry of agriculture. And number two, I didn't really know how to get started. Once I discovered what opportunities there were, my only option was to apply for jobs. And looking back now, I think that there's got to be a better way for someone new in the industry to get started. First thing we do at AgGrad is try to meet potential talented, young, ambitious professionals in agriculture where they are, which is online on social media. So we have a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, We're on all the social media channels. We're pretty prevalent on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And try to meet them where they are and provide them with resources that will help them on their job search. So that it does involve career discovery. We give away a list of 327 different careers in agriculture. We introduce them to employers through our social media. We bring on successful young professionals to tell them about their careers and career advice they'd like to give on Facebook Live, on a podcast, and on YouTube as well. So we try to provide as many different access points for young talented people in agriculture to discover what career might be right for them and then to get plugged in person rather than just applying for a job blindly. I'm based in Austin, Texas, but we recruit nationwide. And so my quote-unquote day job is I work on behalf of hiring agribusinesses to help them find the right people for roles that they need to fill. But in order to do that, in order to attract the right people, we provide these resources for job seeking.
It's been said that Ranger Nick finds beauty in all things, and this month he shows us how beautiful a place with piles of landscape clippings and food waste can truly be. Yeah, that's right. He recently visited UGA's composting facility and learned firsthand how beneficial the university's dining hall initiatives to stop using plastic straws and other non-biodegradable materials have been for the environment.
Well, leave it up to Ray to send me on a real garbage of an assignment, huh? Here I am standing out in what looks like a trash dump that is not, and I'm right off campus at the University of Georgia. You know, UGA has 12,000 students that eat here every day, and all that food waste, which you're looking at, has to go somewhere. Well, it goes to a place where JB Nation oversees. JB, good to see you. Thanks for being out here with me today.
Thank you.
JB Nation is a facilities coordinator right here at UGA at the bioconversion facility that deals with this kind of stuff. So I gotta ask, JB, when you get this load of used food scraps here, what happens to it from here? How does it get from here to stuff that you could put on landscaping plants? What happens?
Well, we use the this material here as our nitrogen source for our compost operation. It gets mixed with our other waste here, animal bedding, and our landscaping debris. It all gets mixed right together, and that makes our compost.
So you're mixing this, and we showed some heavy machinery earlier. You're using that machinery to kind of turn this stuff together and that kind of thing? Or?
Absolutely, yep. This is 1 part to 40 parts of our leaf and limb debris. So that's your 40 to 1 is our mixture that we use here.
And this is the nitrogen part of that?
This is the nitrogen.
Okay, and I'm going to tell the folks at home about the carbon part of that in just a second. But I got to ask, this stuff's in bags. Do you go around, or do you have somebody that goes around and empties these bags, or how does it get out of the bag?
No, we get to throw it all right in because the bag itself is compostable.
Nice, nice. UGA is thinking of everything. So this stuff, and it's kind of ground up. JB, why is that? It kind of looks like it's been chewed already. Why is it all ground up?
It gets pulped at the dining facility itself. It gets run through a pulper, dewatered, and then sent here.
Interesting. And I have learned before this segment, UGA does all these things to make sure that the food is prepared in this way to be compostable. Well, what I want to do next, JB, is talk about that carbon piece of this and how UGA is using the landscaping debris to return to the landscape. So let's do that next. Okay, so the science behind this is just incredible to me. We start with nitrogen that comes from that food waste from all of those students. That goes into an area over there in those windrows. Now we're standing here looking at a bunch of yard waste, which comes from the 750 plus acres of landscape on our campus. JB, what happens from here?
Well, about once a year we have a hired crew that comes in with a tub grinder. They turn this into mulch, just reduce particle size. Okay. It gets mixed with the food waste. This is our carbon, the food waste is our nitrogen, gets mixed all together, put in the windrows to make our compost.
Okay, now with a place like this, folks at home know I'm an animal nut. I'm just imagining this is a great habitat for some of my favorite things like snakes. Have y'all ever seen anything out here like that?
Oh, all the time,
Nice.
All the time. This pile itself generates a lot of heat, so as we're going into the winter, they go to den up. Rattlesnakes, coons, possums. You start digging this stuff out and they're in there.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. You're not afraid of that stuff, are you?
Not at all.
Good to know, good to know. So we're going to talk about step 3 when it goes from the carbon with the nitrogen. How does it get to the product that goes into the gardens? We're doing that next. All right, so JB, I got to ask, this is the finished product. Beautiful looking soil that can go back on the landscape. How did we get from yard waste and food to this?
Well, like I mentioned, we take the landscaping debris that's been mulched up, we mix it with our food. Okay. Our landscaping, our mulch is our carbon,
right.
our food, our nitrogen.
Nitrogen, right.
Mix that all together, 25 to 30 to 1, our nitrogen being there 1 part. We windrow it.
Okay, and these strips, all right.
We throw our water on it from our retention pond where we collect all our
recycled water.
Recycled water.
Yeah.
And we turn it with our big turner.
So that kind of puts air into it to help it break it down.
It turns it, it exposes new surfaces, and
okay.
yeah.
Then, so this guy right there, that big orange monster, how does that guy get involved in all this?
Well, in the end, we take it when it's done, after about a year, 9 months to a year.
Wow, okay.
I need to tell you, it starts out about 150 degrees. Once you get your mixture right, your moisture in there, about 50% moisture, it starts heating up, 120, 130, 140, 150 degrees.
Wow, okay.
So we try to keep it right around 150 degrees, and then it just kind of breaks down from there. That's when your particles start breaking down.
Okay.
And in the end, it'll finish off at about 100 degrees, and you kind of know it's done. So you pull it out, you throw it through this sifter here, and it gives you this beautiful dirt.
Takes out any trash?
All your contaminants, your rocks, your plastic, big pieces of wood that didn't get broke down.
Okay, and then this is used back on campus.
Back on campus, yep.
Incredible.
Our landscaping, the Hort farm here, the U garden, botanical gardens.
Wow.
All our landscaping, any contractors come on campus to work, they get to use it, so.
This is something that I think a lot of people at home don't know about, and I really appreciate you sharing this story, JB. This has really been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Y'all, UGA does some incredible stuff with this, and the recycling emphasis that they put on this is incredible. Don't forget, while you're online playing around, check out the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page, and while you're there, check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page. We got one of those. And until next time, JB, as we always say, enthusiasm is contagious, so pass it on. Y'all, thanks as always for watching. We'll be looking forward to seeing everybody when we get back together again next month. See ya.
Nick, great job as always. When we come back, himself a victim of Hurricane Michael, Georgia Farm Bureau President Gerald Long discusses the road to recovery and the round-the-clock efforts being done to help those in need. But first, as we go to break, a special message from American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall.
You know, in our country, we have a holiday that celebrates the harvest of our wonderful country and the bounty that we bring forward for not just our people, but America. You know, I want to tell you that all the people in Washington, D.C. that works for American Farm Bureau want to say Happy Thanksgiving to you, and another good big Happy Thanksgiving from the Duvall family that resides in Greensboro, Georgia, and have all of you in our hearts and prayers. Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm Larry McClendon, and we're in Lee County, Arkansas, and I'm a cotton grower here. Cotton's in a wonderful position to go forward because we are the renewable resource for clothing. And I think it's becoming more and more evident all the time, the benefits and the positive side of cotton, and I think cotton has a wonderful story to tell. All U.S. growers participate in the cotton research and promotion program that benefits every U.S. cotton grower. Cotton would not be viable in the U.S. without that right now. We are seeing new and additional uses for cotton. I'm seeing rainwear that's now 100% waterproof being offered through retailers. We're seeing cooking oil, we're seeing absorbent products that are coming into the market. We're seeing some sterile products that are going into the healthcare business. And I hear radio ads for bedding and various other products that are pretty common out here right now. Approximately 20 years ago, my son-in-law, Bobby Bird, he came to work with me. And then about 5 years ago, my son Tyler, he came back, and each of them today have their own farming operations. We still work collectively together, but we run the businesses separate.
My name's Bobby Bird. I've been with Larry McClendon a little over 20 years. I'm kind of like a little manager, take care of most of all the field work and some employees.
I'm Tyler McClendon. I handle a lot of technology and office work inside of the business, and I see a lot of ways that we could improve the way we grow it. There's a lot of opportunity to make it more sustainable and to grow more with less.
In regard to sustainability, I would tell you this, my farm is in much better shape than it was 20 years ago. We have less tillage, we use less water. For each pound of cotton, we're using less fertilizer, and over time, our yields continue to go up. And I would tell you that every acre of land that we farm is in better shape than it was 20 years ago. And that's a goal of mine. I want to be profitable, but I also want to turn this farm over to the next generation in better shape than I took it on.
Finally this week, in addition to holding the title of Georgia Farm Bureau President, Gerald Long is an active farmer and himself a victim of Hurricane Michael.
Yeah, damage from the storm forcing Mr. Long to shut down his U-pick operation in his hometown of Bainbridge, Georgia for the remainder of this season. Bainbridge, of course, one of the areas heavily decimated by Michael's winds. And since then, Mr. Long has traveled the state reassuring fellow farmers that Georgia Farm Bureau is and will continue to be with them every step of the way during the recovery process.
The four main things that really took a big blow was timber, pecans, poultry, and cotton. And that's where a lot of our production is in this area. And it's going to be very difficult for some farmers to survive this. Now, you know, most of us, we have crop insurance. I'm sure there'll be some type of disaster program, but will that be enough to put us back where we need to be to service our debts? And that is a major concern as president of Farm Bureau and as a farmer myself, knowing what people are going through right now is going to be some very trying times. And it's not a matter of the assistant that we need next year. Time is of essence. It needs to be now, because you're looking at only 2 months away before we start refinancing for 2019 crop year, and that's going to be a major issue. Even in our business here on our farm and our produce business, you know, for the last several weeks since the storm, the business has been slow because people have spent the money trying to recoup from the storm. A lot of them are still out of electricity, so they can't function as a household right now. So it's having an effect over the whole communities. They are now right now just trying to get the bare necessities to sort of regroup and think, what can I do next? We're working every day trying to come up with ideas to pass along not only to our legislators in Atlanta, but also into Washington, on what kind of help can we get, because we're going to have some disaster help. We're going to have some assistance in some form for a lot of we farmers to survive. We can't make them back whole, but anything we can do to help the farmers to recoup some shape, form, and fashion. I think it's our responsibility as the largest farm organization in Georgia, for the farmers that we represent, the agriculture and all. So we've got a lot of responsibility to respond to the needs of the farmers.
And once again, we do want to remind you that if you would like to help those in Georgia affected by Hurricane Michael, Georgia Farm Bureau is accepting donations to aid in the relief efforts. For more information on how to donate, visit gfb.ag/storm relief. And with that, we will say so long until next time.
Here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening out on the farm. Be sure and check our Twitter page, Facebook, and Pinterest. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and with us here on the show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week, everybody.